If you're drowning in emails and calendar chaos, you've probably thought about hiring an executive assistant. But here's the thing. A vague job posting won't attract the right person. It'll just flood you with the wrong candidates. In this video, we're breaking down exactly how to write an executive assistant job description that actually works, plus the 3 hiring mistakes that'll derail even the best job post. Let's get into it. The trap here is pretty simple, folks. Vague descriptions don't attract everyone. They just attract the wrong everyone, which means you end up spending agonizing hours filtering candidates. Vague descriptions waste time and lead to poor self-selection. To fix those incredibly vague postings, we've got to build a rock-solid foundation. 5 job details build the foundation for a strong executive assistant job description. And no, the goal isn't to list every single microscopic task. It's about establishing essential pillars. First up, scope. Is this role 70% calendar management, or is it mostly project coordination? Second, who they're supporting. You need to name the title and outline that executive's specific working style. Third, tools and systems. Literally list what you actually use: Slack, Notion, and Asana, so you aren't wasting weeks on software training. Fourth is the level of autonomy. And fifth is what success looks like. Now, I want to pause on that 4th point for a second. Level of autonomy. This is absolutely crucial, and almost everyone skips it. Ask yourself, do you want someone who makes independent decisions all day, or someone who strictly follows directions and checks in? If you leave this out, you might end up hiring an intensely independent thinker for a heavily directed role. And let me tell you, they'll be miserable, and for sure, so will you. Now, what's really interesting is the contrast when it comes to defining what success looks like. If you just say you're looking for someone detail-oriented, what does that even mean? It's completely subjective. But if you get specific and say, after 90 days, we'd expect you to be managing the executive's calendar independently, you've completely changed the game. Setting a specific 90-day goal not only tells the candidate exactly what they're aiming for, but it makes your evaluation process so much easier later on. Why? Because you've already defined the finish line before they even walk through the door. Okay, so now that we've got our core details, it's time to get tactical by categorizing the daily executive assistant responsibilities in your job description. The job template turns guesswork into a repeatable hiring document. For example, under calendar and scheduling, a key task would be protecting focus blocks. Under communication and gatekeeping, it's triaging the inbox and drafting replies. And then for project support, it involves tracking cross-functional initiatives. Using this kind of structure is your best friend because it makes the daily reality of the job undeniably clear to anyone reading it. But here's the catch. You've got to adjust these sections based on your specific role. If you're hiring for an admin-heavy position, trim down the project sections. If you're looking for more of a strategic partner, expand those project and operations sections. Basically, tailor the whole shebang to fit your exact reality. All right, once you've laid out the responsibilities, you need the what we're looking for section. These are your specific requirements. But take a close look at these bullets. Things like manage competing priorities and make judgment calls on urgency. We're not just looking for someone who can type fast here. We're highlighting that the ideal candidate takes genuine ownership. They think 2 steps ahead. They don't just sit around waiting to be told what to do, right? They proactively manage the chaos. Listen, I need you to hear this loud and clear. 3 hiring mistakes derail even well-written executive assistant job descriptions. Even if you write a completely flawless job description, it's going to totally fail if your interview process relies on bad evaluation habits. Mistake number 1. Filtering by years of experience instead of how someone thinks. It is so incredibly easy to just glance at a resume, see 10 years of experience, and assume they're a slam dunk. But context is everything. An EA who spent 3 years supporting a fast-moving founder through a chaotic fundraise will often heavily outperform someone who coasted for a full decade in a slow-moving, highly bureaucratic corporate environment. You absolutely have to test for judgment and how they handle ambiguity. Don't just count the years. Mistake number 2, running generic reference checks. Honestly, Just confirming employment dates with an HR department is entirely useless. It tells you nothing about how they actually performed. You have to insist on talking to the actual executives they supported. Ask those executives the hard questions. Did they handle competing priorities well? How much direction do they really need? And the biggest question of all, would you hire them again? Believe me, one honest conversation like that is worth way more than 3 rounds of standard interviews. And mistake number 3 is hiring for tools instead of instincts. This is perfectly summed up by the quote you see here. Hire for instincts, not tools. Look, anyone, and I mean literally anyone, can learn how to use Asana or Google Calendar or Slack in a week. But knowing when to independently handle an angry client email versus when to urgently interrupt an executive in a closed-door meeting, there is no way you can train that into someone in a week. That requires pure instinct. You have to hire for it. This brilliantly illustrates why Pearl Talent offers a shortcut: vetted candidates, structured onboarding, and ongoing support. The whole point of hiring an executive assistant is to save yourself time, right? But if you're spending weeks buried in a grueling recruiting process, you're entirely defeating the purpose. So let's walk through how Pearl Talent actually solves this with their done-for-you process. They handle all the global sourcing, specifically placing highly skilled candidates from the Philippines, Latin America, and South Africa right into US and EU companies. It starts with a dedicated recruiter kickoff to really personalize the search. Then they conduct top-grading interviews and rigorous skills assessments before you even see a single candidate. Once you pick someone, that candidate goes through a pre-onboarding boot camp and AI tools training, so they hit the ground running on day 1. Plus, Pearl Talent handles all the messy behind-the-scenes stuff: payroll, compliance, HR, the whole 9 yards. They even do 30, 60, and 90-day performance check-ins. It is just a completely streamlined pipeline from start to finish. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Take a hard look at your current DIY hiring process and ask yourself, are you hiring an EA to get your time back, or are you just buying yourself another exhausting full-time job? If you're doing it all yourself, it's probably costing your company a lot more than you think. So if you're ready to skip the recruiting chaos and land a top-tier executive assistant without the headache, head over to pearltalent.com. You'll find vetted talent, proven processes, and a free consultation to get started. If this was helpful, like the video and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.